Thanks, Stephen. So my name's Elliot Vior and I'm the Sales Director of Beach Holdings. Now today we're going to look at the UK property market overall and identify some key areas where you can make the most money from your investment. So looking at the UK market, investors from all over the world have often favoured the UK because of the security and the stability that it offers investors. Just some numbers for you to consider. The strength of the UK property market has always been dominated by the imbalance between supply and demand. So the UK needs about 250,000 new properties built each year just to keep up with the demand. And at the moment, there's only 170,000 properties being actually delivered each and every single year. That's a shortfall of 80,000 properties onto the market every single year. That's really driving the strength of the investment into the UK property market. Now, a good investment always goes further than just the city in which you're investing. You need to be looking out for some key things, some key targets within any city where you're considering an investment. It's important to consider a city or an area where the population outweighs the supply of housing available in the market. You want to be looking for potential future capital appreciation. Are there improvements being made to the infrastructure, to the rail network, to the connectivity? All of these things are really important to look out for. A young population is also really important. It's young people who are likely going to be your tenants, the people living in your property. So an area where there is a high amount of students or young professionals is key. Also look out for the migration of big business. Are big corporate blue chip companies moving into the surrounding area? Are they opening offices in the region? That's going to be really important. And also look for areas where there's previous institutional investments. Are big pension funds, are family offices, are wealthy corporations investing into the surrounding area? If they're investing into these areas, then it's probably a good indication that you as an individual investor should also be looking at this area. So let's look at the City of London, somewhere where I'm sure you're all very familiar with, in comparison to a city like Manchester, just to show the level of difference between investing in these two cities. So in London, the average property price is, well over £600,000. When you factor in stamp duty costs at just under £30,000, you're coming out with an average potential rental yield of around 2.9%. Now compare that to a city like Manchester, where the average property price is £220,000, significantly cheaper. That also reduces your stamp duty liability to just over £6,000, giving an average rental yield of 5 to 6%, a significantly stronger return than had you invested your capital into a city like London. Now, in recent years, the UK has seen huge growth in regional cities, so in other cities around the UK outside of London. Manchester, average yields, as we showed, about 5%. Comparing that to some southern cities like Cambridge, Oxford and Brighton, where the average yields hover between 3 to 4%. It shows that regional cities in the north of the UK do offer some better investment potential. So as we've identified, Manchester is one of the key regional cities in the UK where the best returns are possible. So why should you be looking at Manchester as the key regional city in which to make your investments? Well, some data by people like JLL and Savills shows that over the next 5 years, house price growth in Manchester is forecast to be anywhere between 17 to 20%. Rental growth across the same period, 16.5%. Now, at present, the population of Manchester is approximately 2.75 million. Now, by 2035, that's forecast to grow to over 3 million, a huge growth in a relatively short amount of time. Now, Manchester Airport is one of the key regional airports across the UK. It's actually arguably the largest airport in the UK outside of London. Now, at present, it connects to over almost 200 destinations across the world. The airport at the present is currently being redeveloped, and there's over £1 billion being spent to really transform that airport. Importantly, I think it's the introduction of and the arrival of HS2, the high-speed rail link between London and Manchester, that's going to reduce travel times between the two cities to just over 1 hour. People could quite conceivably commute between London and Manchester in just over an hour. It takes me well over an hour to get into Manchester some days from where I live, so the HS2 is going to be revolutionary. And the development and the implementation of HS2 alone is going to create over 90,000 jobs to the city of Manchester and the surrounding areas, so huge benefits to the city of Manchester. So looking at the migration of big businesses and all of the key people who are moving to the city of Manchester, I'm sure you recognise many of these companies here: BT, Amazon, KPMG. 80 of the FTSE 100 companies all have representation in the city of Manchester. Importantly, London is losing 88 young professionals each day to regional cities like Manchester. Commercial space is approximately 40% cheaper in the city of Manchester than it is in London. Last year alone, over 800,000 square foot of office space was actually rented and tenanted across the city, and the BBC recently announced there's going to be 22,000 new jobs moving from London to an area in Manchester called Media City. It's important to look at the demographics and the people who make up the city of Manchester. So it has one of the youngest populations in the UK, with the average age of 33 compared to the national average of 40. So a huge young rental market, people who are going to be living in those properties. Now, of those young people, it's actually not until they're going to be over the age of 40 where they're expected to own their first property, and 35% of 25 to 40-year-olds never actually want to buy their own home. So Manchester has a huge amount of young renters living in the city. Now, importantly, there's a huge student population in the city of Manchester, over 100,000 students, and incredibly 60% of those students, once they've graduated, they actually stay in the city of Manchester and continue to rent properties. So let's look at the growth of the population of Manchester, one of the key drivers that's going to be resulting in the success of an investment in the city. So at present, over 2.75 million people living in the city. Now, over the last 10 years, the population of Manchester has grown by 19%, more than any other regional city across the UK. And importantly, by 2035, the population of Manchester is forecast to grow to over 3 million people living within the city. So just to keep up with that level of demand, 11,000 new homes need to be built every single year. And at present, there's only 7,000 homes actually being delivered to the market. So that's a shortfall of 4,000 homes per year. And if this level of supply and demand imbalance continues, by 2035 there's going to be a shortfall of 60,000 homes on the market. That just goes to show how much of an imbalance there is between the amount of demand and the supply and demand coming onto the market.